Hey everybody, here on the island of Hawaii, down near Pohoiki, also known as Isaac Hale, or a lot of people say Isaac Hale. I am right next to the last lava flow we had 3 years ago. I'm actually right in between it. So here's one, and then we have where it didn't come through, all the green. And then over there is the other. So I decided to come down here and do a quick motorcycle review. My motorcycle, 2018 DRZ400s. That I've done some stuff to it, but nothing crazy. So let's get into it. All right, well, what we have here is my 2018 Suzuki DRZ400s, and I've done some things to it, some of them out of necessity, like this case right here. The magnesium one cracked when I tipped it over and it didn't like it, so I put on the billet aluminum. But overall, I like this motorcycle. I think it's almost the perfect motorcycle for being here on the island of Hawaii, just for the things that I like to do with it. Let's just start from the ground up then. I have Tusk tires on this thing. It originally came with trail wings, which were okay for the street, but terrible for this kind of terrain. You can't go crawling in lava, sand, and dirt, and things like that with those original tires. These are the D-Sport front. This is a D-Sport front tire, and it has 1,000 miles on it. And look at it. Looks great. It's not as good on the street, but that's not what it's for. Let's go back to the back one. The front is the D-Sport. The back is the Recon Hybrid. And I put it on at the same time I put on the front one. And like I said, about 1,000 road miles on this thing. And look at it. Look at it. I've done some rocks and lava and sand and stuff, which is what it's made for. This is not a DOT approved tire for the street, but this thing has almost 1,000 miles of highway miles. So it works pretty freaking good. Since we're back here, we'll go ahead and move up to the exhaust. I've got the MRD Racing Z Pro exhaust. Right now, she's uncorked. She doesn't have a baffle in it, she doesn't have a spark arrestor on it, and she is boisterous. She likes to make her presence known. I don't mind it, but it's a full system, and these are made in Riverside, California. And the guy's great. Does a great job on it. This thing is amazing. I also put a graphics kit on it from OMX Graphics. I still have more to put on, but I'm not sure where I'm going to put them. Like I said, I had to change the guard, the engine case guard right here. And it cracked when I tipped it over, and the brake pedal cracked it. I also put on these oversized foot pegs, which are great for standing up at long distances. The oversized Cherubies tank, I think it's 3.7 gallons, helps me go anywhere I want to go on this island. I also have my Tusk handlebars. They're aluminum handlebars. They're a Honda bend, CR bend. I put those on there because the originals just started rusting because they were steel. So I have that. I also have the battery tender right here, zip tied to there. It runs from my battery, and right now I don't have it charging anything, but I have my RAM mount. I put my phone there. I also have RAM mounts for my mirrors, which are great because I can swivel them out of the way if I want to. That reminds me, now I have this sticker, this thing's so much faster. But the reason I have that sticker is because I have fork springs and a spring on the shock from Race Tech to match my slightly heavier than most people's girth. So I have that, and it's wonderful having those springs in there. This thing's not nearly as it bottoms out as much, and I haven't noticed any difference on the highway. So really good. I have an LED bulb in here. I also have these aux beam side lights, the auxiliary lights. It has an alley marker along with the front, and they make it night and day difference. Night and day difference when it comes to riding around at night, especially if you're in the dirt. I don't have a billet cover on my clutch cover because on the magneto side, because I didn't buy one. I just put this aluminum one on there. It's just stuck on there with the double-sided stick tape. What else do I have? I did the side stand safety switch, so that you can't start it while it's in gear if it's on the side stand. I did that because when you're jumping and the side stand's up, if you jump and land hard enough and the side stand comes down, it kills the engine. So I defeated that. And also, when I did the exhaust, I did a jet kit from JD Jetting, and it's called a 3x3 airbox mod. You cut a hole in the top of the airbox so it breathes better. You do the jetting. This thing is awake. This thing is great now. Other than that, I really haven't done anything else to it except put miles on it. She's got over 4,500 miles, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that's all she has. I should have a lot more on it, but with visitors and flat tires and stuff like that, it's kind of slowed me down. But I really love this motorcycle. I loved it before I did anything to it, and now that I've added some additions to it, it's even better. All right, as far as how this motorcycle is probably the best motorcycle for this island or something similar, is the fact that it's a big enough island to where you have to travel some serious mileage to get from one place to another. If you want to go from one beach to another or off-roading somewhere, you got to put in a lot of miles, unless you put the bike in a trailer or in a truck. And I don't feel like doing that because this is a street legal motorcycle and I enjoy riding long distances. The other day I did an entire lap of the island and went to the top of Mauna Kea and back, and it was over 400 miles. You should check out that video on YouTube. And I'll put a link to the description of that one in this video. But the thing that's nice about this motorcycle is it's got enough power to go from sea level like we are here all the way up to the top of Mauna Kea where the observatories are, close to 14,000 feet. It's over 13,800 feet high. And she does it. The air's a lot more thin up there, a lot more scarce up there at that altitude, but even though she was running rich, she took me up there no problem. As a matter of fact, I got yelled at by the rangers for going too fast. So this bike has enough power to take you wherever you want to go. If you want to ride around on a freeway, if that's what you have near you, which we don't, but we do have highways here that are 60-mile-an-hour speed limits. This thing will go 60 miles an hour all day long, whether it's these dirt tires or whether it was the street tires that it had on it originally. I've taken this thing over 80 miles an hour. It doesn't wallow, it doesn't weave. It's not as stable with these tires on it at that speed, but then again, these tires are not DOT. They're not made to get that much heat. So the cool thing about this bike is it's heavy enough to do well on the highway, but it's light enough still to where you can still play around coming to shorelines and coastlines like this, where it's rocks, where it's sand, where it's dirt. It's great. I mean, I don't know a dirt bike that isn't great on fire roads, but this thing is wonderful on fire roads, but it also will do some pretty serious rock crawling and single track if you put in the patience and the work to get more experience doing it, to get better at it. It's not a motocross bike. It doesn't loft the front wheel like a 450 will, even like a modern day motocross 250. But you can, if you need to loft the front wheel, you can. You just got to work a little harder at it and use more technique. But you know, considering the fact that this bike is so narrow and light and you sit up straight, it's more comfortable than a sport bike. I drove a Gixxer for many years until I sold it to Josh. I've ridden Harleys, I've ridden BMWs, I've ridden just about every bike that's out there. I've ridden FJR 1300s, the new Kawasaki, the new turbo bike I drove. My friend has one of those. I've ridden them all. And I'll tell you what, this bike, I don't want to say it's the best bike I've ever owned, but this bike is right up there with the best bike I've ever owned, best bike I've ever ridden. Is it the best at doing anything? No. My RM 250 that I used to have smoked this thing in the off-road department. It was so much lighter, and it was just, it's built for off-road dirt bikes, strictly dirt bikes. This is a dual sport bike. It's meant for street and dirt. But is this thing as fast in a straight line as a sport bike? No. Is it as fast in a straight line as a Harley? I don't know, maybe. But it's faster than most cars when you leave a stoplight. It's more nimble, it's more fun. It gives you a chance to get out and do things. Are other dual sport bikes better than this one? Sure. The KTM, the Husqvarnas, the 701, the 450, even the is it the 501? They are all more capable because, well, they have fuel injection, they have more power, their suspension is more up to date. They're also more than twice as much. You know how much this thing's sticker was when I got this? $4,700. I bought this in 2020. It was brand new, off the showroom floor. It's a 2018 model. Back then, they couldn't sell motorcycles because they had too many of them. Now you can't find a motorcycle to buy. Out the door, $6,000, tax, license, everything. $6,000 for a brand new motorcycle. You tell me that that's not a good deal. So why is this one of the best bikes that you can have if you're here in Hawaii? Or anywhere, unless you want to commute on freeways for long distances. It's because it does it all. It's not the master of any of them, but it is a jack of all trades. I'll tell you that right now. This thing's fun in the twisties. It's decent when you have to travel long distances across highway. It's better than decent when you're on the dirt, when you're doing dirt roads and stuff. It's probably one of the best bikes you can think of. It's got plenty of torque. It's not a huge horsepower bike, so it's not hard to manage. And now that I have the pipe, the jet kit, the airbox modification, this motorcycle on my trip averaged 47 miles per gallon when I did 400 and something miles. 47 miles to the gallon. And this thing is dirt cheap to insure. So, I'm just giving you my 2 cents. This motorcycle is maybe the ideal bike to own if you live in an area like where I live here on the island of Hawaii. Let's go ride Hawaii today.